We will chant the mantras of Dhanvantari to start with, or Ganesha first, whatever you prefer.
Namami dhanvantarimadidaivam surasurairvandita pada padmam loke jararubhayamutyunasham dhataranisham vividhaushadhi. Jai Gurudev.
Jai Gurudev.
How many of you have felt the pulse? Was it easy? You could feel pulse. So it's that easy to have access of our own pulse, no permission required. It is part of that Ayurveda which self-healing. So pulse is very important for everyone to learn. So like if you're new to this or just first time you felt your pulse, means very simple. For men it will be right hand, for women it will be left hand. But it's that simple, learning self-pulse reading, and very healing. So to be able to, like Maharishi Mahesh Yogi ji, he always said, not knowing self-pulse reading is like a gardener forgetting to water the roots. So it's like nourishing ourselves. So it's a good practice. Right now, be a plain blank paper. If you don't know anything, just feeling it with Samaveda. But once there are even, you can get in the website, you can get the basic course even online. So just feeling self-pulse is very good.
Let's give a quick lesson. So, men feel on the right, or masculine on the right, feminine on the left. So you can all now feel this.
No, first let's start in a way, like just free the hand. Because some of you maybe for some natural instinct you might have completely got it right. But keep some rules, like as Dylan just said, right side for men, left side for women. But you have to also have an imagination of where you are feeling pulse, because it's exactly anatomically created. Everyone can hear me?
No,
So yes. I guess we didn't think of, teaching pulse at that way, but sometimes it's like the group has the collective consciousness. So somehow I think that might have brought. So just to have that idea, what do you need for feeling the pulse? Your hand, 3 fingers, just feeling it. So anatomically, if let's say I'm showing my right hand, but for women you can see on your left hand. So where the thumb ends, so there is a radial artery, a radial bone, bony prominence, right below the thumb. So you can all feel that groove, the bony prominence. Anyone who can't? And this I'm showing so that it's very easy, but when you're feeling it, you should take, like men will take their right hand and rest it on the left hand. Women take their left hand, rest it on the right palm. So once you rest it, take your index finger, feel the bony prominence, and where it ends towards you, there you come up. And where do you come up? Have an imaginary line of the index finger. So where you will feel like this, there is this like a tendon and something very strong. There is radial artery next to it. And except there you cannot feel the pulse. So that's like you put index first, then middle, then ring. Can you all feel the pulse? Anyone who can't?
Don't be shy. I can come around and see. Okay.
So everybody is able to feel the pulse? See? So there is life. And what did you feel like? Again, maybe just 10 seconds. Everyone feel the pulse.
I'm struggling to feel mine.
But you felt any pulse or no pulse?
You see this groove, you were feeling pretty much there. It's just below, this is the bone, it's in that groove.
So showing you the bony groove and that index finger is like the grid map. You're exactly putting where the index needs to be. Then followed by middle and ring.
Anyone else want me to come over?
So anyone who can't, now you can? It's that simple, like you can't feel pulse means your fingers are in the wrong spot. It's like this is the entrance to our physiology, like the main door. We can feel pulse around the carotid artery, at the neck, ankle, so many places. But when we want to enter the house, it's the main entrance we want to enter. Comfortably, welcoming, no efforts, and easy to access. So it's anatomically designed, there are muscles, there is the carpal tunnel. So this is the only opening, perfectly designed for, like imagine the fourth finger to put in. You might even catch some pulse there, but it doesn't match. It's like these three is that. So anybody wants to share experience what they felt after feeling the pulse?
A little more connected to my body.
True. Because you are like listening to the rhythm. Because what is pulse? Pulsation. Pulse is the vibration. Like, would you all say, if you listen to somebody speak, whether it's family or over phone, or you can tell that they just woke up, they had a cold, cough, not feeling well, happy, sad, all this can you pick up from voice? And for example, like this is something we all may have a little better ability or slightly less, but we all know. But for mothers, if there are 10 babies crying in a room, for us it will look like all babies' cries are same. But for mother, she will recognize her baby. So like that, if the hearing, that vibration we are able to train and pick up what it is, what kind of disease a voice is telling us. Because diseases are trapped in the physiology. Imbalance or balance comes out in the voice. So the pulse is thorough scan. It tells much more. It's like everything. And pulse is eager to tell. Like when mother comes home or parents come, children want to tell everything. And when they tell, then they're relaxed. So same, when you feel the pulse, body wants to tell you all the wrong things you did and the consequences and what's happening, and then it's again calm down. So it's the best way to calm down. So whether it's ADHD, whether it's coffee or anything that is overstimulating the nervous system, anxiety, stress, multiple ways. The only reason or anything where if somebody is not getting immediate results, this is daily practice. Because it's like you are monitoring every right and wrong, witnessing what the physiology is going through. So it's like this basic pulse. Yes.
Are there any comments?
There is. It's as big as ocean, but it's as simple as how long it took us to learn. So there are certain, like, a baby comes out of mother's womb. The first thing why the baby cries is the first breath. Without the support of mother's umbilical cord, is cut off. So similarly, you felt the pulse. That's just the beginning. Every day you're breathing, involuntary. Similarly, pulse is with you. You can feel it all the time, before and after, any time. But for now, I will say, because we started, so I'll give you 3 points to know good pulse, bad pulse. That's all. So bad or unpleasant or imbalance, same word. So when it is suvyaktam, meaning well expressed, so the pulse feels expressed, then it is a good sign. Then nirmalatvam, meaning pleasant. When you feel the pulse, do you feel pleasant? Or you want to take off your fingers, or this is not good, or you're even curious, why is this? So again, some imbalance. But if it is pleasant, that is good sign. Ghanaghatratvam. The third important point is abundance, like it's nourished, it's full, it's good. This also, what is well expressed, what is pleasant, what is abundance. There is lot of practice involved in it, but it's a subtle way of knowing it's a good pulse, and all 3 qualities at once, very difficult to find. That means your perfect health, balanced. So sometimes even thought process can affect the pulse. So it's okay, you don't have to search for all 3. And pulse is never searching. When you feel the pulse, you are feeling it. And let it say, and you get good feeling, bad feeling. That's all. If there is bad feeling, something. So for now, this is good practice. And you want to go deeper, like we've made a basic course. We wanted everyone to, because we can't be everywhere. Usually this group, like if I teach pulse with this group for, let's say, over a weekend, it's like a best way you can imagine. Because the bigger the group, you are learning in that short time everyone's collective consciousness, everyone's experience. It's all practice, practice, practice. So you can practice, but maybe get on the website and just learn the basic. Basic is so easy. Yeah.
We don't have time so much for that. But I will say, just go back to just feeling, and even those 3 qualities is a hint, but just simply, is it good or bad, or pleasant or unpleasant? And that's just you. You'll know the difference between after eating pizza and ice cream or after eating a light Ayurvedic food. You'll kind of learn yourself what is good and bad. And just keep monitoring throughout the day, before food, before toilet, after toilet, when you wake up, before meditation, after meditation, and you'll start getting more information. And you said, like, the baby cries when the mother comes home, not just cries, sorry, shares, or the child shares, sharing information, but also what I was thinking was it's just like releasing its stress, its emotions. The mother comes and just wants to tell him everything. So the diseases also like are liberated through the pulse. So this family, who are world renowned for pulse diagnosis, but there's also Vedic vibration therapy through the pulse, and that's basically, correct me, but it's feeling the pulse and vibrating, and that's liberating toxins as well as giving.
It is like when you're meditating, what is the level of, oh, this is a very senior meditator, or he just learned meditation, or enlightened yogis. So meaning in the Vedic system we always use siddhi, meaning one thing you do with purity, that Guru's grace, meaning your master's blessings, then that siddhi comes. For anything, like some people attain siddhi, whatever they say, it manifests.
It's like supernatural capability. Is a siddhi.
So when a physician, like in our family, the pulse practice starts right from age 3. And of course, pre-conception itself, what parents do, and once they, in the pregnancy, what mother is listening, all that anyway starts where the real learning. But let's say even from age 3, what we are seeing and how we feel the pulse, our pulse, and that way there is like that natural siddhi coming. So we are lucky that way that we got to practice for so many years and then as our profession. But even on yourself, you will see the nourishment, you will see the balancing. So that way, to answer, when that siddhi comes, when the intention, then whatever, because as you will often see our family, we will say the pulse is good, we will talk about health. Ayurveda, first principle is swasthasya swastha rakshana, meaning you maintain health. What is healthy, you maintain the health. So Ayurveda's first principle is that aturasya vikara prashana. The second principle is if there is imbalance, you bring it back to balance. So we don't talk about imbalance, we don't talk about diseases. It's not to enliven that. Health is one, diseases are many. So focus is on health, which brings all the elements to balance.
Just want to mention, if anyone can't hear at the back, feel free to just come and sit at the front or wherever you like. When it's not rude to get up, it's fine. Okay, so I forgot we had a topic today. When I walked in, I saw the poster, gut health, because I was like, before this, I was, what should we talk about? But anyway, I might not stick to that topic. I like what I wrote just now. But I want to first ask, like, who here is basically brand new to Ayurveda-ish? Like, maybe you heard the word but don't know much about it. Okay. And what about, and I'd like, because the chances of this is different, anyone here is like versed in astrology? Like knows astrology? Okay. It's not necessarily going to be an astrology talk. Some of the other talks we're doing in Australia are, because they're astrologers interviewing him. Dr. Harsha, like he comes from this long lineage of Ayurvedic doctors, but he's kind of the one who's really took up Vedic astrology and is integrating it into Ayurveda, medical astrology. So you mentioned this like umbilical cord pulsating and giving the nourishment, and it made me think of the navel, and then it's like good connection to today's session, which was on gut health. So I want to speak, like we just learnt pulse and about the power of our own hands and the prana that can come from the hands, and it's called hastavasi, right? Is that correct pronunciation? Like the healing hand. So, we can have the siddhis of being able to liberate diseases just through pulse, but I want to just maybe give some practical ways that people can enhance their healing hands, not just for others, but of course starting with themselves. Pulse is one, feeling the pulse, and we'll leave that for now. And yeah, what other?
Well, like one of the most often thing, like wherever you are stuck in the cold, or when you have nothing nearby, or if you see in the Vedic culture we say namaste, or so joining the hands, because like how when atoms collide, or so this rubbing the hand, when it's too cold we rub the hand, and that itself you apply anywhere, you can see already it's really healing. And imagine like hot water bag or anything, gel pads, heat has healing ability. because like we often, like my father since 50 years, he's been preaching or advocating everyone. One of his first prescription is hot water sipping. So now it's so common, like when he first toured USA, it was like in the plane, anywhere, I'm talking in 70s and 80s, nobody would give hot water. It would be either tea and coffee or iced water. So he would always say tea without tea. And like that he would be talking about hot water in lectures and everything. And then one day he saw in the article in New York Times that the new trend is serving hot water in cafes and restaurants. So like that, there is that aspect of hot means there is, like when I just entered the studio, I think both may be moon or one is sun and moon. So, but the bright color and the cold color. So what I noticed, hot or cold. Ayurveda is all about Ushna Viryam, Shita Viryam. So the energy, Virya, is either hot potency or cold potency. Sun or moon, the fire element or the water element. So these two is the key factor. So similarly, when you are rubbing the hand, the heat already charges the hand. So then when you touch anything, so this is a very good practice. And another, like if you have seen, when you wash your hands, does hands feel moist or dry after washing with water?
Try.
Dry. The common quality is like it dries up. But if you even put a drop of oil or anything, and you, or now nowadays everyone puts creams, so then you see that moisture. It's called snehana, meaning that which is friendly. So putting any kind of oil, and that's why in Ayurveda we have the practice we call self-abhyanga, meaning doing abhyanga, oil massage to yourself. So whether a therapist is giving to you, it is with their hands. Whether you are giving to yourself, also with the hands. So one of the best is put oil, rub. So this makes every day feeling the pulse with the finger. Again, you are enlivening the sense of touch. Similarly, also by rubbing, and another, taking care, like check your hands, and are the nails too dry, are they cracking, or any kind of abnormalities on the nail. So that is important. It is showing you a lot just looking at your hand, and that means you need to put attention there. So making sure the hands are not dry, not sweaty, because that is also a sign of certain weakness. So lot goes in taking care of your hands is very important. And even maybe simple, doing this, anything that just charges your hand.
If you just oiled your hands and massaged them every morning, I'm sure, feel your pulse, tell you, you'll have a big difference. So just to kind of revisit that, so sipping hot water, the number one recommendation, like cold water, it just puts out this fire in us, which we call Agni. Hot water, it dilates, it opens channels, lymph, blood. The cold water constricts everything and creates blockages. So the hot water, like it washes grease off dirty dishes, it does the same in the intestines and the respiratory tract also. It washes and cleanses. So definitely sipping hot water frequently throughout the day, not so much about quantity, but frequently sipping is like the number one thing that we will recommend for all Ayurveda protocols and interventions. Sip hot water and the oil massage, and we'll send you a link after on email to download a poster. You can everyday oil massage, and we could speak for hours about how much that prevents, like we said, maintain health in the healthy. So it lubricates, it prevents degeneration of the bones or the joints or the brain, which is just dryness. And the other thing is paying attention to the hands. So enhancing the sense of touch through feeling your pulse, doing your abhyanga. Who wants to enhance sense of touch? I mean, okay, if I'm a healer, I'm a massage therapist, but for other people who may not be using their hands, the sense of touch is known as the king of the senses in Ayurveda. So I'm going to right now ask Dr. Harsha just to elaborate, to kind of convince you why you want to enhance your sense of touch, because some of you might not think it's important for you. And I just want to say before that, the senses are really so connected to the mind. So if we think about old age or 80s, 90s, the senses is what begins to degenerate. They start losing hearing, they start losing vision, they're actually drying up. That's why oil is so key to preventing sensory degeneration and neurodegeneration. But we want to have optimal senses. That's what really sparks the mind, right? So why is the sense of touch considered the king of the senses in Ayurveda?
It is like, sarvam dravyam pancha bhautikam. So everything in this universe is made up of the 5 elements. So no matter what you pick, anything, it's only these 5 elements. And what is the 3 doshas or vata pitta kapha, we say, it's again further simplified into air and space as vata, fire and water predominantly is pitta, and water and earth element is kapha. So now in that, like I spoke, fire and water, hot and cold, so that comes in the middle as, that prime quality. But if you want to say the mightiest, which can break things and everything, what element usually comes to you?
Does anyone want to guess?
The element that breaks things.
The mightiest.
Mightiest element.
And break.
Fire?
It's actually air.
Air?
It can go anywhere, it can travel anything, locomotion, everything. There's even a shloka in Ayurveda, pittam pangu, kafam pangu, pangavo maladhatva, vayuna yatra niyante, tatra gachanti meghavat. Meaning everything in this physiology is lame. Meaning cannot move by itself. Whether it is the pitta dosha, whether it is the kapha dosha, which we are talking about even the elements. Starting from fire and, space is itself, it's the channels that provides the facility. So fire, water, earth cannot move by themselves. Same is our urine, feces, everything, the tissues, all in the physiology need the assistance of air. And air, so similarly like the clouds. Clouds are pushed by air wherever, so the rainfall. So similarly, the air is the causative factor for movement. So like movements, what is the air element's predominance? Because if you take the sense organs, eyes is tejobhuta, the fire element, predominantly. Ear is space element, listening. Smell is the earth element, and saliva and the tongue, that function is the jalabhuta, the water element. But sense of touch is air, all over the body. Everything else concentrated in few areas. But sense of touch all over the physiology. That's why through sense of touch pulse, mother and baby When inside also mother will touch here, when they are kicking there is a, even though so many layers in between, to everywhere it's, that's why we say like what is good touch? And we're even teaching children, mother's touch. What is healing touch? Again mother's touch. The purity. So the touch, if we can train the touch, then it even trains our intention, everything. Because when we are touching with, when mother is cooking, you know, even the big chefs, I'm sure if you'll ask them, what's your favorite cooking or where do you go, they'll say my mother's cooking. So because touch has that ability to transmit all the emotions and everything.
What is the difference between Vāyu, which is the Sanskrit for air, and Prāna, life force?
So, like the same Vayu, the five, the element, in the five element, the Vayu is the Mahabhuta. That's why it's called Maha, means the greatest, the biggest. So that Mahabhuta, we are made up of the five elements. So let's say when we are saying this Vayu, which is predominantly space and air, so space is all the channels that in the physiology there is innumerable channels, everything is going through. But air is further subdivided into five subcategories called Prāna, Udana, Samana, Apana, Vyana. And if anyone from yoga, any practices, if you've even seen, you know, some yagyas, puja ceremonies in temples, these five names will always be spoken.
Who's heard of those out of curiosity? Prana, Udana, Samana, Vyana.
So there is also
Apana.
a subdivision of Pachaka, Ranjaka, Sadhaka, Alochaka, Bhrajaka. Have you heard of that?
Who had heard of only the Vata one but not the Pitta ones? Right.
Only Vata. Even in our Shastras, we only, if you go into deep Patanjali Yoga Sutra, it is all about the five Panchavatas: Prana, Udana, Samana, Apana, Vyana. To simplify, Prana is the life force, the energy, the thought process, everything, the vitality. So the first Vata, which is predominantly like circulating, but in this, you know, in the face, in the breath. But Udana Vata is even more specific to lungs, in this diaphragm to the nose and the trachea and all this. Then there is Samana Vata, the air that propels the stomach, and like, you know, you do give air to wood fire, it propels. So all the digestive organs in the stomach, below the diaphragm, above, is Samana Vata, the air that ignites the digestive fire. Then Apana Vata, the Vata that is below navel, in the large intestine and all that, which pushes the gut, the bacterial gut, the good bacteria, everything that helps after the digestion and the end remaining, the extract of our digested food is pushed by, like, can you imagine if one day that air doesn't function, that Vata, and it doesn't push our bile, you know, so many problems. That goes longer, immense, so many diseases. So that is Apana Vata. And then the fifth one is Vyana Vata, which is the entire circulation, heart pumping, our, you know, the calf muscles. When we walk, both the calves are pumping, pushing back anti-gravity. So that is Vyana Vata. But in that, if you want to summarize the essence of Vata, is prana. So it's not just prana vata which is specified, but the essence of vata, how the life force. That's why vata nadi bhaved brahma, pitta nadi cha shankara, shleshma nadi bhaved vishnu, stridevo nadi samstha. It is said the three devas, Brahma, Vishnu and Maheshwara, are in the pulse. So vata is the creator, Brahma. Pitta is the Shiva form of destruction, anabolism, catabolism. Kapha, the structuring, the immune system, is Vishnu. So that's why it has the power to move, to create, and so that is the prana that we want to constantly maintain.
I'm going to move to might be a bit more deep and might a bit of astrology, but so you spoke about like the sense of touch being so personal. It got me thinking, we've been talking about the past week about being more personal with people, intimate, as opposed to the internet and the social media and things. Now, but that's also Vata, or to bring the planets in, Rahu, which is the shadow of the moon. So when you were speaking, I was getting these two things because one is the sense of touch being very personal, giving you my food with my sense of touch, giving you feeling your pulse, touching you through a treatment. But then there's another form of Vata, which is, or sense of touch maybe, I don't know, on the internet. And so, yeah, what's the role of Vayu in the more social internet kind of distance?
Actually, a very good question. But so far I also felt like after the pulse, are you all understanding and participation is good?
Yes.
Yes. So you can always raise if something you're not understanding. Yes.
So, when you spoke about the massage, I was just wondering, what should you use a particular type of oil for?
This is also very common, like knowledge. Oil is good. Oil is called snehana. Sneha means friendship, that which adheres. So oil itself will always do good. But the beauty of Ayurvedic aspect is you are further medicating the oil, purifying it, making it lighter. So predominantly cold pressed oil, first preference, whether it's coconut, sesame, what suits you, your skin. And then we have some ways where you can make any cold pressed oil into a medicated oil. So medicated is even better because then it attends to the doshas, the imbalances of these different elements. So it further, to absorb by the skin is easier. And to give his answer, like today, like how he has compared this sense of touch or the Vayu, the Vata quality, because if we are talking about Ayurveda is so good to ground you. We talk about health. Today my gut is not feeling good. I have a cold. I am not feeling good or I'm feeling good. Like that you can always give a reason. There is a clarity. But when we talk about astrology, then it's like it's macro. In Ayurveda we are dealing in micro, but the macro level is little bit more difficult to understand because it's the entire influence of our solar system. But if you make these big, large celestial bodies into characters, then it's easier to understand Jyotish. So imagine sun, Surya being the father. So in every family, the father, head of the family, or the person running the family, that or a company or a village, there will always be someone taking the place of sun, which is in charge, the natural leader. So very pitta-like quality, fiery, but in charge and who is well-being of everything, the whole family. So that is a character you can imagine. Moon, which is nourishment. It is emotions, feeling. So mother, queen, the one person who is making sure emotionally there is balance. Like, how often do we relate father being responsible for the emotion of the whole family, or the mother? Like, children are very clever. When it's all emotion and all, they'll go to mother. When it's more like they want something, and then they may go to father. So that is moon. Similarly, Mars is like, anyone, very automatically you can say, who is in army, who goes to gym regularly, or who is an athlete. Mars is strong. Mars is very natural, but anything with the energy. Similarly, Saturn. So Mars is also very pitta, because it's to do with energy. So the reason I'm giving these characters, so that you can relate the Vata, Pitta, Kapha, because that's the simplified one. So now I spoke Pitta planets, and Moon is bit of that Kapha and Vata. There can be a mix. None of us all in this room, none of you are pure Vata, pure Pitta, pure Kapha. We are composition. One might be more predominant, one might be little less, one might be very low. And to have all three balanced, that's wonderful, very rare to have. That means your parents, your grandparents, generations must have done everything perfectly to get all three balanced. So a moon is a bit of kapha and vata. Predominantly the mind is chanchal, it is always moving, fickle minded. So moon is also predominantly vata. So now moon's sun is considered Mercury, which is the nervous system. If moon is mind, Mercury is nervous system. And nervous system again is vata, thoughts. And then there is another planet, what he mentioned, Rahu Ketu. In Vedic astrology we use these two terms, the lunar nodes, north and south. So they're basically shadow created by sun, moon and earth. But in Vedic philosophy, that which doesn't exist, even darkness, has a presence. So similarly, these shadow, whether it's the lunar eclipse and solar eclipse, they have certain presence. When there is an eclipse, how many have you felt some change?
Was it last weekend? 1.5 weeks ago?
And whether it is solar, whether it is lunar, you have felt, right? And even full moon to no moon, when the moon is still there, it's just dark, but we feel it. The no moon feels, even the crescent was still okay, but the minute moon is no moon, we feel it again. So similarly, so these three planets are very much predominantly vata oriented, but also related to mind, which is moon and Mercury. So moon, we can all say, because it's the closest entity, depending on which sign, where it is, we have these characters. Like what we often read about sun sign, why you will slowly move out or get bored of reading sun sign is because in that month, whoever is born, it's pretty much big population. But if you take moon sign, you will really go even into details like their emotions, their feelings, how they think, where they are, because mind is that most important. So that's why in Vedic we take moon into consideration. And now the nervous system, so important, that's why internet, communication, all this is Mercury, because it is putting all the knowledge together is Mercury. So even that was okay. But now Rahu, which is another planet, because Rahu is the head. So if you read the Samudra Manthana, the churning of ocean, where all the great things, Amrit,
The mythology.
the mythological story later you can read. So that's where the story goes, where Rahu was a demon who disguised himself as a god and drank the nectar, became immortal. But that's when Vishnu separated the head and the body. So the head becoming immortal, head became called Rahu and the body Ketu. So the head is all about desire but doesn't have the body to achieve it. So wherever Rahu is, he takes that planet and amplifies its quality as its own. There can be sometimes people like that. They take someone else as their vehicle. They give them ideas. So it's a Rahu influence. Con artists. So this is more negative side, of course. The same Rahu takes you on an adventure. This impulsive, you want to travel the world, you want to discover, you want to go to the deepest jungles. That's also Rahu. So exploring, it's the head, the desire. And the Ketu is no desire, moksha, inward. One cave, I can spend my rest of my life there. I don't need any communication with the world. So two extremes. So what he said, when these are combined, like imagine Rahu and Mercury combined, amplifying Mercury's energy is what we are hearing of in AI, artificial intelligence. So already Mercury is intelligence, and above that, humans trying to press that. So in today's time, when it's so much Vata, just because Vata is like, imagine a balloon floating, hot air balloon rising. So the more and more communication, because Mercury is the planet of communication, is through online, screen time. So we are seeing children where, nowadays children don't have the challenges that when we were younger were different. Maybe almost like I don't remember my parents worrying where I was, in which jungle, what tree I was climbing, did I even fall. It will be very simple things. But now with, imagine the cameras, baby monitoring everything, we can be, but actually we are also same worrying parents even more and overprotecting. So definitely I think this kind of social media and we have to somehow create, no technology company will tell us to have some rules. It's every family has to come up with the rules of how much technology, not while eating. Because Ayurveda speaks about that. When you're eating, don't speak. Don't have conversations. Focus on food. Because having food is like a yajna. You're putting it into the digestive fire for you to become the Brahman. So because annam parabrahma sarupam. So the food we eat is parabrahma. So when we do it properly, we attain that parabrahma. Like Buddha, in his journey to enlightenment, first thing he did is fast. And then this little girl offered that little food. When he ate, he suddenly realized just fasting is also not the way to enlightenment. So that's annam. When you do it right, it is a yajna. So similarly, we have to make sure children, like, that's why schools like Montessori, Waldorf, Steiner schools, and they're all encouraging children to, like the old days, children climbing trees, touching the earth. So I think very important that we really put technology is like Rahu amplifying just the Mercury, all about intellectual stimulation but not physical. So again, coming back to sense of touch. So the touch in its extremity. So can we agree touch is that powerful? Like I spoke about breaking rocks and going anywhere, but touch going through internet, like all these experiments you might have even seen. They put, parents or somebody puts the screen in front of the child, is hooked, And when they take away, they're actually asking questions. Why is this? What is the universe? Why am I born? All these questions. But if the screen, like I remember when we were younger, my father, one thing he did for us, which we can never repay, is at a very young age, we were in India, and our Guru Maharishi Mahesh Yogi, he was living in Holland, so there is a big setup and no children there, and he just took us from our schools and brought us in Holland, like we were age 10. And one thing Maharishi always talks about is also the Vedic and spiritual knowledge. So he said if the children will go to just school, they'll get spoiled. So he said they'll be homeschooled. And there I remember there were no TVs, everyone was meditators, yoga, and experts from all around the world, including Jyotish. That's how Jyotish became, because I was this curious boy asking why, and people used to run away because, oh, the why boy was coming. He'll ask me question and I'll have to stand and answer. So that element definitely, because of the screen, even though YouTube and all these internet has the information, but the child doesn't want it that way. Because what is, like imagine you getting your yoga and all the knowledge through screen, not a physical teacher. So that is sense of touch, the physical presence. I may be sitting here, but there is a touch, there is vibration happening. We're feeling it. The same online, you will feel nice, definitely. We were even talking different courses and all happening, but with online, you just miss that. The collective group, that which is like we are present here.
So the sense of touch online is like the vibration coming, like obviously the sense of rupa, of vision is there watching, but there's actually touch in, like if, with the kid watching the screen, it's the sense of touch happening, vibration.
And it's like so subconscious kind of approach, where the child can focus on you, but he can run around the room, still listen to you. He's missing. Because when you take away your attention from the screen, then it's audio. But why is suddenly in this age where such wonderful videos and all are there, but people love podcasts where it's only audio? Because the sense of hearing, there is a particular department, a sense organ for hearing. That's why Vedas are said to be Shruti and Smriti. In the past, they were learned by a guru telling orally. So you listen, student listens and memorizes. No writing required, nothing. I say a shloka, like imagine I chanted Dhanvantari Vandana and you remembered one time, Eka Santagrahi. But today can we claim in one, how many can grasp? We lost that ability as Kali Yuga entered. By internet, by all this, we are taking away their ability. Like since calculator came, all of us lost the ability to calculate on the spot.
Got to actually kind of finishing soon. I have a couple questions. One is, we've just seen patients in Sydney and Melbourne. Quite a lot of pulses were felt. This is your third visit to Australia. This time, in the past 10 days or so, what has been one of the most common expressions of the physiologies that you've been seeing?
You mean in Australia?
Yeah,
or
just
in
this
general?
trip in Australia, in Melbourne and Sydney. What are whether it's a disease or an imbalance or a positive thing, what are some of, or the most common presentation that comes to your mind?
Like one, as we can see the group, the first time I visited, if I would even talk about Jyotish, it was already like overwhelming.
Which is Vedic astrology.
This kind of calmness wouldn't happen, like what are you talking about? So there is a lot of rise in, like, we don't have to give so much explanation of Ayurveda. I used Vata Pitta Kapha. I talked about elements. I'm talking about planets. Something even new, but you're all like understanding. Nobody. So that awareness is increasing. So even someone first time, like there were few, are you first time to Ayurveda? But whatever I'm telling, they're getting it. They're nodding their head. So there is a more awareness, but also with awareness, a big transformation is coming. Because now more awareness means deeper knowledge is required. That's why the superficial, like for Indians, you give them turmeric, you give them cumin, any of these, we all know, very healing property. It will do nothing. It will neither stimulate their bowel, but in the West, you give any of them, it's like the bowel is clear. So for Indians, it needs a proper, decoction and everything put together. So similarly now, the collective consciousness everywhere, the knowledge is getting deeper. So now they want deeper knowledge. They want substantial. You can't just sell Ayurveda. Everything can't be Ayurveda. Everything can't be just because you use the word yoga or Ayurveda or something spiritual. Doesn't make that spiritual also, because the collective consciousness is so well aware. This part, yes, the social media and this Vata, it penetrated deep. But it's our job to also, how much are we getting in touch with nature? Means, I think when I'm telling to Australians, it's already feeling for me like, because here everybody has, sports and outdoor, and everyone, it's not only that. Like in Holland, we used to remember growing up there, everyone had at least 2 bicycles. And when it was sunny, because it was mostly rainy and wet, they would just run after that 5 minutes of sun. So in that sense, I would say majority here are lucky, there is like that. But then, certain substances or certain things may make someone not be aware.
Okay, and any imbalance that has been a common thing?
The biggest, I would say, because of the radiations and everything that's not even in our control, like one after COVID, the vaccination and all this, so some effect happened for majority for women, because they are, moon, Venus, Mercury, these are the sensitive, subtle planets are more predominant in women. So, as you can see, the majority of women, Ayurveda, health, cooking, lifestyle, it will be women who will be drawn to that. So, similarly, the COVID affected their cycles and periods, definitely. That's how, like, our journey to Australia really started. We kind of had to take a break of our Panchakarma center, and so suddenly we were doing online pulse course and something.
Yeah, so the quick story, because we need to wrap up, but the pulse videos which he's referred to online came about during COVID, when we had a bunch of patients kind of, in a way, yearning and saying, I can't get my herbs, because they couldn't send herbs from India, and I can't go for my regular Panchakarma, which is a detox and rejuvenation program. And they were getting a bit stressed, like everyone was, many people were during COVID. And I told this to Dr. Harsha's father, and I said, Rajuji, like, what are we going to, these people are constantly, he said, we will teach pulse. That will be the way to heal. And that's when they did these 3 videos of teaching people to heal themselves through pulse. And that was profound, especially in the group, and now these videos are there to watch.
And what's different after COVID too, my father was the pioneer, like his students are in Philips, Sony since 30 years doing research on pulse machines and all. He was teaching pulse since 50 years. But what's the difference I could say is it's repeating the knowledge and teaching and courses. But now the internet era. so the knowledge spreads so much faster. Like anyone, like you've heard and you get some information. So that's the advantage. So we really felt two things we have to offer the world is teaching the knowledge, but also the banana treatment which was preserved. So for women's health particularly because they can immediately, but for men also because men have also nowadays one of the common thing is becoming more refined, subtle and feeling the emotion because we live in a more catered, comfortable, sedentary lifestyle. So men don't have to, chop wood, go or test it. It's all the testing might be in a gym or something like that. We'll have to find harsh conditions. We have to create artificially. So that's the key reason the banana treatment we give. And that's how our journey started. And now, even the deeper level, like the main reason of coming to Australia was banana treatment always, but also doing the course in Byron of like self-pulse reading. The next level, of course, there are advancements even in the pulse, where you can feel others and diseases with lots of practice, but also self-marma. Marma is that vital points, 107 in the physiology, to self-heal them. So that again became like Dylan is very persistent. Like I remember when, even in 2014-15 when I met, he wanted, and I said, no, I'm so busy, but he pushed, and finally we are bringing all the knowledge.
So yeah, the main reason the Vedas travel is to give a banana treatment, which is a medicine which is served on a little piece of banana about the size of your little fingernail with some herbs on it and a lot of vibration, like what we were speaking about in the beginning of this, like the vibration from the pulse, and every organ has a vibration, and that's why these doctors can feel so much in your physiology through your pulse. So yeah, this medicine is given because usually women would travel to India just for that, like literally from Australia, from UK, just for 5 days. It's usually a 3 to 5 day treatment. Here we're doing it 3 days. And then they come back. So not everyone does that. So that's the main reason they travel, is so people have closer access to it. And yeah, it's a treatment to purify the whole physiology. And like I said about the males, like using this treatment to refine and kind of understand their emotion, or open their emotional heart more perhaps, and balance their emotions.
Yeah, because see, when a woman, the touch or anything, they're so comfortable with the sense of touch. But for a man, it's like, it's a tough thing, There are certain restrictions, like, I remember when I was growing up, suddenly growing up with my sister and brothers, my mother put some restrictions. You can't do this, or now sleep in another room. And so there is, in a way, much more difficult for men to understand that, especially the emotions, the touch. So there has to be that subtlety of course, having a sibling, like a sister in the family, mother's teaching. These are all, they definitely help for men.
So basically, it's this medicine, it just purifies the body, and especially the hormones. So again, it's whole done in silence, this treatment. Like for example, Sydney, and there's a couple of people here who just received the medicine in Sydney. Sri Lakshmi ji, who's Harsha ji's wife, will come with medicine for everyone made specifically, because when you tell us about yourself and they prepare your medicine, and you're all waiting in silence, and one by one we'll call you up, you take the medicine and then go home, and that's it. And during the 3 days you have a certain diet which needs to be kept. Really it's during the 2 days, because it starts from the first dose, which is tomorrow night. So it's really 2 days of a certain diet, and then as much rest as you choose. Some people take time off, and some people take the medicine and go to work with full-time job and 3 kids. So after you take the medicine, then it will do its job of purifying the body and purifying what needs to be purified. It's especially effective for the reproductive system, whether it's menstrual disorders and fertility or menopause, menopausal transition, perimenopause, postmenopause, and also for samskaras, like which we love, which is like deep impressions in the body, like whether it's sexual trauma or some other trauma. It's not easy to...
From mothers to grandmothers,
Right.
passed on.
And that's why when they first, after the COVID, when they came in 2023, that was the first time Rajus came into Australia to give, because it's only their family that give this medicine. It's a special, it's lost. The main thing a big thing we're doing is COVID vaccine side effects, especially in the women and the men also. We're getting, and it was a very different banana treatment, like, you know, in a way, like it was a lot of people, that's what it was working on.
And we mainly like avoid also the advertisement because it's easy to claim and that. So word of mouth means complete trust, surrenderance. Because many times Vedic wisdom has to be dealt in a subtlety, not based on advertisement, not based on, you know, anything commercial. It again loses its value. But any woman in cycle, perfect. It's like that's the reason we came. But of course, anyone who are not in cycle or are not getting, or men, then they have to have this subtle marma touch therapy, not more than 5 minutes, and then you can receive the treatment.
Right. So because this treatment is given by the forefathers, they said, you know, no money should be taken. So when you go to India, that's the case. But when they travel now, it's meant to cover the expenses, but no money is taken personally. So that's also kind of why we shouldn't advertise. It's a by donation treatment. And as you said, if you're not menstruating at the time, because when you're menstruating, the channels are open for this medicine, and it has a very deep purifying effect. So that's why people are traveling, like, you know, in my clinic in Byron Bay area, I have some patients, although we're going to that clinic, they live around the corner from the clinic, they actually traveled to Melbourne so that she would get it on her menstrual cycle, instead of waiting 2 weeks later when the doctor's there. But anyway, if you're not on your menstrual cycle, tomorrow all day, Dr. Harsha is giving these quick marma treatments, which is like where acupuncture points come from. He spoke about those vital points. And he'll do that. And it's a short but powerful treatment which opens your channels up, ready to receive the banana medicine. And then once you've received that, you can start banana medicine. First dose is tomorrow night, Wednesday night, Thursday night, Friday morning. 3 doses is a great cycle. Even if you can only do 1 or 2 doses, that's still better than none. And yeah, you see what it does. You might not feel anything. Common thing is to feel tired, a bit tired, but
Deep sleep, deep
sleep,
rest.
You know, vibrations, spiritual. There's so many things. I don't want to put and you can read the amazing testimonials. But just to share like the dynamics of what it.
And mostly like when with healing, don't plan healing. Don't put a time frame. Will I get healed in 1 month, 1 year, 10 years? So similarly, you know, wish for health, perfect health, you get much more. When you're just comparing with one person, if it can inspire you to read, and that gives you an insight, but otherwise it's your own experience. Your health, your physiology has its own history, the family history, what you did as a young, you know, teenage, when the hormones are actually changing and discovering the world. So lot goes on. So those impressions are also kind of stuck. So banana treatment definitely goes in that way, in that subtlety, and you know, like opening, clearing the channels. Yes.
We continue abhyanga during the banana treatment ends.
If you're not in your menstruation or cycle, then you can continue. If menstruation, then it's like as much rest, no extra. Like you will also not like the touch.
But don't continue her.
No herbs.
Yes, no, not
No herbs, no
required
supplements.
unless any important, medication, even allopathic, then it's okay.
And the only people who can't do it is pregnant women.
Because there are only three who have the power of life: the Creator, Mother Earth, and woman giving birth. So that's why in that there is no our involvement. There is the ojas and all that the baby requires, mother manifests. So no extra medicines required. More about knowledge, listening to pleasant music, classical music, only good things, good conversation, no unnecessary stress like that. So that's why we don't encourage. Ghee is very good to eat, but no many medicines not required.
Does anyone have any burning questions?
You talked about this touch and a lot about the mother and family values and connections. What would you say to someone that there's a lack of connection with that aspect of their life? Do you think that it can come more from yourself in nature? Or do you feel like that is a very important thing?
It is important, like earlier the better. The child handled by mother, grandmothers, from first bathing to everything, no doubt, because it makes life easier, faster to get on to your actual reason of birth. There's so much to do, enlightenment and so and so. So that way, yes. But then this is human life, and human life means lot of past karma baggage. So why do you want to even question? Like majority, victim, yes, in a way everyone. But why you see somebody's childhood, maybe they have, if they didn't face anything, maybe in future they'll face their challenges. So everyone might face a challenge. That challenge was kind of like put by your own soul. So rather than feeling what I missed, you understand, and you might have witnessed where there could be a mother, she might have not, but you see her upbringing, she brings out the best children. They might have done wonders to the world. So it's like sometimes a trauma can make someone reach their potential even higher. So it's not about getting stuck in any of the trauma, because these are all, like imagine like today's kind of this sensitive world we were living, COVID was like that shake, because you had to now wake up to like take health in your hands. So similarly, blaming parents, blaming school or country, you'll always find it's easy to, this is not, like you'll go to India, it has its own set of problems. Here it has its own set of. So almost I think it's just if somebody is trying to act like it's perfect, but I think we are born like friction. With friction, right friction, then comes this beautiful, like take stones, there are certain machines, and with friction, they turn out to be that same stone which was not looking so beautiful. It comes like these marbles in amazing color. So I think friction is okay. We just, whenever you realized, one by one. And I think Vedic wisdom, Ayurveda and this, first thing, we should not be overwhelmed, because when you hear such lectures, it will be like too much to introduce all once. But you even pick up one habit, like let's say self-pulse, hot water sipping, anything, abhyanga, you will see big difference, life-changing difference. So if one thing can bring that, add few more. So it will replace. And there is, nature has all the solutions. So if something is missing, you will create. You will not only give it to your own family, you might even give it to your entire society.
Okay, Jai Gurudev. If you have any questions, I'll hang around for a bit. We can end with feeling our pulse.